Alright, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the noise in the background, the mowing. I can't help that. It's the apartment complex. They hire these people to mow whenever. So I ain't got no authority over that. But however, I still got to get on here and do my due diligence and bring what I'm led to bring. Okay? Today, I'm going to be bringing to you an audio that I recorded on 5/19/24. Our power is with a spirit of truth. Okay? Our power is with a spirit of truth. All right? It was actually a Facebook post that I made. All right? It was a blog post. Um, for some reason, Facebook wants to make my computer really laggy when trying to find these posts. So I'm not even going to attempt to bring it up. Um, Flowing by way of the Spirit, I'm going to be starting this. As a matter of fact, hold on. I'm going to be starting this with this video right here. All right? This is what racism looks like. This from my brother. That it was my bro on Facebook, but he had deactivated his Facebook, or basically left Facebook a little while ago, and but anyway, he had created a YouTube channel for a podcast, and I subscribed to his channel, and this was his first video. So we're gonna be listening to a little bit of this, and I'm gonna be jumping in there whenever I'm tapped to do so. And like I said, I'm also gonna be bringing you the audio that I recorded. All right, I'm gonna try to get all of this done today. Okay, so I'm not sure how much of this we're gonna look into and review, but for now, let's just go ahead and start it. Okay.
Problem that I have, the problem that I have is the label this lady had on the video, the title or whatever she had on her video. And what she had on the video said, "This is what racism looks like. Stop teaching this to your children." This is what she had. That's the main problem that I have. Coming from a European descended woman. Oh man. She said this is what racism. See, my problem with that, coming from a person of European descent, is that this is being seen as a weaponization. You are seizing this opportunity to cry, "Woe is me. Woe is me. Woe is me. Oh my God." All up in arms. This is what racism look like. You know why I have a problem with that? Is because this is coming from a this is coming from the side belonging to a people as a collective that has literally spent the last 500 years being racist and practicing white supremacy against everybody else, especially the so-called black man and black woman in America. Now, I'm not attacking this lady. I don't know her. She could be a good person for all I know. I don't know her. But her stating that this is what racism looks like is, in my opinion, your privilege is showing. Because that comes from a place to where you are oblivious to what real racism looks like. Oblivious to history. Oblivious to everything that went on in history. To really take one little incident and say, this is what racism looks like. I seen this video. She tried to that title alone it was annoying. The audacity to label the video, this is what racism looks like. This goes to show the entirely different reality they live in from the reality that we live in, so-called black people in America. In my opinion, you know what racism looks like to them? Racism is simple and superficial shit, like she was talking about in this video. This is what racism looks like. Racism to them. Now wait a minute. Before I continue, let me make this disclaimer. I'm talking about these quote unquote patriots as a collective. I'm talking about as a whole. Not individually, there's good people out here. There's good people out here. Understand that. I'm talking about as a collective. This mindset as a collective.
Now, as my brother just stated, we know that there are some good Europeans out there. Okay? We're not saying that all Europeans individually are racist. We're not saying that whatsoever. But collectively, your people established this system. Okay? So this was inflicted by Europeans upon us. And it's never been rectified. Ever. Don't even want to acknowledge any of this. Don't want to acknowledge colonization and the fact that we were here way before Christopher Columbus and the Spaniards invaded. Okay? So, we're talking, again, as a whole. Alright? 1 second. These are all European males. Okay? Where are the indigenous people? We're nowhere to be seen. Anywhere in this. This is 1945. When they established themselves in authority. Gave themselves power to create their laws. Now, I showed you this. Meet Cameron Terrell, 18-year-old wealthy white male who left his $1 million neighborhood and $200 million home to join a Crip gang in South LA. He drove himself and 2 other gang members in his father's luxury Mercedes-Benz to a rival gang territory to do a drive-by. After spotting a young black male, and see their stigmas and their labels, young black male, it was actually a young indigenous male, okay? They renamed us. White people, European people, labeled us, reclassified us as black, okay? As Negro, alright? They reclassified us. They're the ones that systematically changed our identity. Okay? Paper genocided us. Okay? So after spotting a young indigenous male, Justin Holmes, standing outside, Cameron and his two new gang buddies decided to kill him. Cameron is not in jail like the two other young indigenous males who committed this crime with him. Cameron was acquitted because they said that he was just fascinated with gang life. He read books on gang life. He read books on gang life and wanted to see what it was all about. So I guess the young indigenous male that he helped kill was just a casualty of his research. See, these are the two indigenous males that was with him. See him in the middle? He was acquitted. This happened July 2018. Alright, July 2018. This the young indigenous male that was murdered. So let's make this a little bit bigger. I can see if I can read that. Cameron Terrell, the former Palos Verdes high school student accused of driving the getaway car in a suspected gang killing, was acquitted on all 3 counts tied to the case. Terrell appeared during a news conference with his attorney. They made sure to get him an indigenous attorney. Okay? Most likely this brother indigenous. Okay? I'm not gonna use the stigmas and the labels that they slapped upon us. Okay? Because they did that in order to strip us of who we really are. Okay? So you see his attorney fighting for him. Got him off. Acquitted him. But these 2 brothers was not acquitted. They serving their time. What's the difference? This is systematic racism. This is not done to Europeans. Europeans established this unjust system. Okay? They call us racist for resisting their racism. So my brother breaking it down, okay?
Because to put this is what racism looks like and totally ignore history, it to me it don't make sense. Now, in my opinion,
not only does it not make sense, it's disingenuous, okay? It's disingenuous. How can you ignore your history and then be so quick to throw out, oh, you're racist. You're being racist towards us. Let my brother break it down.
When you hear the descendants of Europeans saying stuff like this, I believe in their eyes, racism to them is others pointing out their racism. Like critical race theory, like how they're responding to critical race theory. They are up in arms about critical race theory because they don't want that history, that real side, that dark side. They don't want nobody knowing. They claim they don't want their children knowing about that dark side of history. I mean, why not though? Y'all did it. Why not? And I got to bring all this up because the lady in the video stated this is what racism looks like. Like, is it? Like, this lady 9 times out of 10 has a very logical explanation on why she feels like that. And I'm gonna tell you what more than likely I believe it is. But since she said this is what racism looks like, I'm just giving my opinion on what could it possibly look like to a people that has been perpetuating racism for the last couple centuries. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean this is what racism looks like? As if this is something that we've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. Let's continue. Racism to them, in my opinion, y'all, is when, just like in this video, when people wisely decide not to tolerate their racism anymore and avoid them, which is probably what the lady is deciding to do. Not because of those so-called white women in the video. I'm pretty sure she doesn't know them. So it has to be based on the actions of their people. That's making individuals such as this lady decide not to allow her child to go around them. And honestly, I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Like, if you think about everything that has been going on throughout history in this country, ever since the European has arrived on this land, ever since, it's been nothing but hell for so-called black people living among the descendants of these Europeans. It's been nothing but hell as a collective. And for her to say this is what racism looks like, it just implies to me that she's just using this opportunity to try to call this lady racist. And I think that situation, no, I don't think it was the lady being racist. I think it was actually her just being wise about who she wants her child to be around. She's protecting her child, just like anybody would do. If there was a group of bullies over here, would you want your child going around those bullies? No, you're going to want to protect your child. And I'm not saying that this lady or her or any of her family or any of that, I'm not saying that they're that type of people. But the sister who is not allowing her child to be around them is taking precautions to protect her child. She doesn't know them people. She doesn't know them people. So it was wise for her to do that. And if she said that she don't want them around them white people, it's more than likely because of the things that the so-called white people in America as a collective have been found doing. It's just, and I guess to them, to this mindset that feels like this is what racism looks like, it must be racist when somebody's taking precautions against you, when you have a track record, when your people have a track record, a historical track record of being racist.
Not only do the Europeans have a track record of being racist, but they created racism. Okay, so Europeans established race. Okay, and they're the ones that used race as a weapon, therefore creating racism. Okay, So this needs to be understood so you can stop the gaslighting. All right? This happened in 1691. All right? So you can see here, these are European men who established themselves on this land as Virginians. They set themselves in authority, created their laws and legislations. So they legislated a new class of people into existence, the whites. They had to give themselves status because they were foreigners on indigenous land. They gave the whites certain rights and took other rights from who they labeled as blacks. And again, this is really nothing to do with color, although they used our color against us, but this was dealing with class. Okay? This is classism. So they established themselves as first-class citizens on indigenous land and forced us to take the back seat as second class, labeling us 3/5 of a human being. Okay? These people, Europeans, were not labeled 3/5 of a human being by a whole race of people or by a whole group of people. No, it was the other way around. Your forefathers, your ancestors did this, and you refuse to deal with this. Want to continue to project outwardly instead of dealing with real history. White as a language of race appears in Virginia around the 1680s and seems to first appear in Virginia law in 1691. Now we're in the year 2024. So they had ample time to get this well established, intertwined into their whole system. Okay? And we were all born in the 19th, 20th, 21st century, whatever. Okay? That's at least 3 centuries, well, about 3 centuries, 2.5, 3 centuries after this. Okay? That's like 300 years to get this well established. And thus, whiteness, and to a degree as well as blackness, was born in the mind of America. So, in essence, you have no right to call us racist when your ancestors, your forefathers, created race and perpetuated racism against us in our own land. Calling us racist for resisting your racism is gaslighting. Is being disingenuous. Why don't you want to deal with the systematic racism that your people did in order to establish this unjust system that's been perpetuated against us this entire time. In 1945, United Nations established all Europeans. This is my face when I get accused of being racist because of exposing racism. So it's not the racial attacks, murders, laws, profiling, hate groups, crimes, police brutality, negative stereotypes, supremacist system, etc. None of that's the problem. The problem is us exposing it. Because you want us to be complacent with your racism against us. You want us to be complacent, being second-class citizens in our own land. See, this is your mentality. You don't want to talk about real history. You don't want to talk about the how and the why. You don't want to talk about how you are on top, why you're on top, what happened in real history to give your people the upper leg. How did you get up on your pedestal? Why don't you want to deal with that? See, the truth cannot stay buried forever. All right?
Listen. She said this is what racism looks like. I'm touching on this the way I am because it's like, why would you be, why, really? Really? Listen, you cannot say, you can't use this situation talking about this is what racism looks like. You know why? You know why you can't say that as a person of European descent? You cannot say that because you, as a collective, you have never ever experienced real racism. In the 400 or 500 years that the European has been on this American continent, they have never experienced what real racism is like. So how can you say this is what racism looks like? Are you serious? Are you for real? Listen, they never experienced an entire race of people acting as one in their hatred against them. You have never experienced, you don't know what that's like. You have no idea what it's like to have an entire people, all of this hive mind. You have never had an entire people acting against you. You have never had an entire society discriminating against you simply because you're quote unquote white. You have never experienced that. So how can you say this is what racism looks like? How? I don't get it. I don't understand. Now look, let me remind y'all, shout out to the ones that understand. Shout out to the ones that get it. Shout out to the ones that get it. Look, they have never experienced having crosses burnt in their yard. Like, what do you mean this is what racism looks like? You've never had anybody burning anything in your yard. You haven't had the experience of a whole group of a certain demographic of people kicking in your door, dragging your husband out of the house, lynching and hanging him in front of his wife and kids. Have you ever experienced anything like that? I highly doubt it. You never experienced your people being hung and killed, and the guilty person walks scot-free, while the society of his people blames the victim for their own death. What do you mean this is what racism looked like? You never experienced real racism. You can't take one little instance. You don't even understand her reason why she decided to tell her child that. You're just saying, oh my goodness, she don't want to be around white people. This is what racism looks like. Your privilege is showing. Your privilege is showing. Come on now. Have you ever had, have this people ever had patents from inventions, ideas of inventions stolen, and the credit and wealth given to somebody non-European, non-white? I've never heard of that. The list goes on, fam. But that's my problem with the video. They're using this video to cry, woe is me. Woe is me. Oh my God, racism is happening. Racism is happening against me. Oh my goodness. It would hit different if you didn't have the historical track record that you had.
Yes. And it's like, so karma, even if so-called racism was happening to the Europeans now, that sowing and reaping, that karma, I mean, is what your people sowed, okay? This is what your people collectively as a whole, this is the energy that you sold out against us, okay, for centuries. So even if there's some of our people that are prejudiced and, against Europeans as a whole, you still don't have a right to claim, to scream like that we're being racist towards you. No, what you need to do is humble yourself and repent for the sins of your forefathers. Show love, turn the other cheek, because this is what's required of us. All of this was allowed to happen to us because of the wickedness of our forefathers. So during our lifetime, we were reaping the end of the curses that was upon our seed. And we don't have a right to hate you. We don't have a right to harvest hatred in our heart because of the things that the Great Spirit allowed you guys to do to us in this land. How we are still subservient up under your system of economic slavery. We don't have a right to take up arms and, take it back by force. No, we have to humble ourselves to the eyes of the Great Spirit. Repent for our sins and the sins of our forefathers, and allow the Most High to fight our battle. So you see, you're no different than us. What makes you think you're so much better than us? You sold as a whole, your people sold all of this negative energy of racism against us. And now all of a sudden, you're so quick to scream we're being racist towards you, instead of humbling yourself. No, this gives you fuel to puff yourself up in your pride and your arrogance. So we're going to talk about this. It's time to pull a wool up off of all of these lies and deceptions, all the gaslighting, the manipulation. Your time's up, Europeans and all nations that flocked over here to the fourth part of the earth to live the American dream, never mind the indigenous seed of this land. Your time for keeping us down is quickly coming to an end. Okay? None of us have an excuse to walk in hatred. Okay? None of us have an excuse to hate people. None of us have an excuse to harvest grudges. Okay? All of that is evil spirits. You want to give your power over to evil spirits? Okay, well that's your choice. That's your free agency. But those who want the protection of the Great Spirit will humble themselves like a child. Unlearn the wisdom of this world. Relearn via the Spirit of truth. You will not be ruled by your ego, your pride, your arrogance. None of that. I don't know how much more of this we're going to play, bro. But let's go ahead and continue a little bit.
It would hit different then. But when you have a hit, when you have a record like that, an entire people having a record like that, you have, and now this is my opinion, you have no right to be talking about this is what racism looked like when it was your people dishing out racism hardcore for the past centuries. How can you do that? How can you do that? You're completely ignoring what your ancestors have done and what unfortunately is still going on to this day. You're ignoring all of that to take one little situation and say this is what racism looks like. You have no idea what racism looks like. Now this ain't an attack. I'm not attacking. I'm not doing nothing like that. I'm just pointing out what I think is crazy. This is what racism looks like?
So, today you want to say, where's the laws that prevent you guys from being like us? But you're ignoring what all of this was. Okay, you're ignoring all of this. This is still present day. Okay? You're ignoring all of this, which gave you several legs up on top of us. Okay? You're ignoring all this. Okay? All of this was systematic against us. And to ignore all this and claim that we're all equal, we're on equal footing, is disingenuous. Okay? You gotta come face to face with the fact that Europeans established an unjust system. Okay? This system is unjust. Alright? Even to today. It is an unjust system. Alright? Hold on a second. So you put out newspaper articles of hanging us. Negro jerky. Alright, you sold our dead bodies to eat. Most likely, bruh. Yes. Hold on. The delectable Negro. Human consumption. Okay? Your people did some heinous things to us. And you don't want to deal with any of this. But you want to jump to the here and now and claim we're all the same. Never mind the fact that you don't even want to acknowledge who we are, that we were here before our lands were invaded. And now our lands is overrun by all of these foreigners, and you want to claim we're all the same. We're in the ghettos and poverty. You want to claim we're lazy. You don't want to talk about critical race theory, because you know it ain't a theory. It's real history. And it would explain how your people got up on top very high and we came down very low. It would explain this paradigm that we've been living in. She ain't no free thinker. She very closed-minded when it comes to our suffering, our tribulation at the hands of her people. This was regular. You had a casual killing act, okay? Another Virginia law. Virginia Law 1705, an act concerning servants and slaves. And if any slave resists his master or owner or other person by his or her order correcting such slave, and shall happen to be killed in such correction, it shall not be accounted felony. But the master, owner, and every such other person so giving correction shall be free and acquitted of all punishment and accusation for the same, as if such incident had never happened. See, you write the laws and the legislation. See, your strength is in your law of justice. Just us. What in the hell? Hold on a second. What in the hell is y'all doing? Did they change this? I guess they changed this. That's crazy. Alright. Let us oppress the poor. Let us oppress the poor righteous men. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, the eternal law of love, and objecteth to our infamy, the transgressings of our education. He professes to have the knowledge of the Most High, and he calls himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. See, you don't like the reproof by way of the Spirit that we're here to give to you. We are grievous unto you, even to behold. For our life is not like yours. Our ways are of another fashion. We esteem your system as counterfeit. It's a counterfeit system. It's a fraudulent system. Your whole, everything that you've established, your religious institutions, frauds, okay, false prophets, okay, your justice system, It's only for you and your people. It's set up there against us. You rule with the strength of your law of justice. So yes, we esteem you as counterfeits. A people who stole the identity of the indigenous people. That would make you a counterfeit. You are not who you have been told that you are. You've been lied to. He abstaineth from our ways, as from filthiness. He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that the Most High is his Father. Yes, the Most High is our Father. So you say, let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. This is the wicked mentality of the worst of the heathen. Now again, this is not to say that is the mentality of all Europeans. But as a whole, this is what your people have established. With this whole false ass reality that was forced upon the indigenous people. Okay? We're indigenous. We are not black people. Okay? You use your law against us. Casual Killing Act. It stated that it was okay to kill a black if you were correcting them. And you were not charged for a crime if we so happened to die. Tortured us. Did all kinds of heinous things to us. But you don't want to talk about any of that. I just want to hide all of this. Never speak about it. Never talk about how you got your wealth. How you got up on top. How we came down very low. You created the laws. Your forefathers, your ancestors. Why is it so taboo to discuss this? It's very easy for you to claim that we're all the same when you ignore real history.
Let me tell you why this is foolishness. They're sitting here playing, they're using this opportunity to play victim and seize it to their advantage. And one thing that I find funny is that when you have a group that's perpetuated racism and the idea of white supremacy and acted upon it without shame. Now, once again, I'm not talking about this lady individually. I don't know her. I'm just speaking about as a collective, because I'm pretty sure she's not the only one who feels like that. Whereas as soon as they get an inkling that somebody don't like them for being white, because they're assuming that's why, because you're white. Now let me throw this in there. Let me throw this in there real quick. I am pretty sure that if you have any individuals that are of color, that are so-called black people, that feel like they don't want nothing to do with those of European descent, it's not because you're European. It's not because you're quote unquote white. That's not why people ain't trying to mess with you. It's because of the actions of your people. You might not be that way. Shout out to the white folks that ain't like that. You are appreciated.
Very much so. So, all the Europeans that can admit what your people have done, and you choose with your free agency to stand with us because it's the right thing to do, okay? This is about morality. This is about right and wrong. This is about good versus evil, okay? So we appreciate the righteous of you. We appreciate the ones of you who stand up and speak the truth. We appreciate those of you who will eventually cleave to us, because we are here to help you. This was done collectively by Europeans against us. Hit the nigger, baby. This was a game that you played on our land. And they literally put our babies in there. Sambo 5 pins. Okay? You did heinous things against us. Okay? You're gonna have to admit it.
Shout out to the ones that are genuinely not like that. That don't have that mindset. But as a collective, anyone that is black and brown, non-white, that feels some kind of way towards so-called white folks, it's not because you're white. Nobody has a problem with you being white. Nobody has a problem with you being a white person. The problem is the actions of your people.
This is the actions of your people. Okay? This is what your people did. Alright? And then you're so arrogant, puffed up in your pride and your arrogance, to where you will literally be a foreigner on our ancestral land and make this bold statement, make America white again. This land was not a white land before it was invaded by the Europeans. But you don't want to deal with that history. You don't want to deal with who we were before colonization.
You cannot keep doing the things that your people have been doing for so long and then just expecting everybody to love you. It's not going to happen. You're going to have some people that refuse to forget, especially when the historical atrocities that's been done has never been made amends for. Not only has it never been made amends for, to this day, as a collective, they refuse to make amends for it.
They refuse to even talk about it. They refuse to even address it. They refuse to even acknowledge their real history. As a collective, you act like colonization was the greatest thing that happened to humanity, when really, it was the destruction of humanity. This entire time.
They feel like, shoot, I ain't never owned no slaves, so what I got to do? That ain't my problem. But it is. You know why? Because you're benefiting off of the atrocities of your ancestors. Like I said, this ain't no attack. This ain't no attack, but a lot of that kind with that mentality, they always feel like when you calling out the BS, it's an attack. It's a personal attack. No, we're just addressing the actions that's being taught. You can't be of a people that perpetuated racism and the idea of white supremacy and acted upon it without shame for centuries. You can't be of that group and cry, woe is me, when you get the smallest inkling of feeling. You don't even know for sure. You feel like somebody's being racist towards you. Now, everything that so-called black people have went through in America, man, we can smell racism from a mile away. Come on, man. We can smell racism from a mile away. We know what it looks like. You don't know what it looks like. We know, we experience it on a daily basis. And the thing is, those of the European persuasion, as a collective, they know full well what their people have done to ours. They know full well. They just turn a blind eye to it. This is why I got a problem. It's one of the reasons why I have a problem with the label, with her labeling her video, this is what racism looks like. Because you know full well what black people have been through in America. Hell, all over the world. You're not ignorant of that. But hey, it's not happening to you. It's not a problem until you feel like it's happening to you. As long as it's happening to everybody else, you don't hear these people as a collective standing up against it. You don't hear about that. You might have individuals, and shout out to them. You got the individuals that are standing up against it.
Yes. I bring out several of them. There's several Europeans that have been speaking out, okay? And we talk about them. I've got several videos on my channel showing the Europeans that speak out. All right? Speaking about the Europeans that speak out. All right? Hold on a second. And this is one. All right? See this, brother? This is a European. All right? You see? He talks about white supremacy. All right? He brings out the truth about white supremacy. All right? Now, as a matter of fact, 1 second. Give me just a moment. One second.
So here you have a white boy who just killed 10 fucking people and not a scratch on him, not shot at, not pushed to the ground, not punched, not kicked, not treated like fucking shit. Nothing. This is clear fucking white privilege, and black people can't even sleep in their own goddamn fucking homes without being shot at by the fucking police. White people, you need to fucking admit that you got fucking white privilege. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. We are, as white people, protected by the goddamn fucking system. And I know you don't want to fucking change it. That's why you don't speak on it. But I don't give a fuck. My name's Eric Stone, because it's fucking true. Deuces.
Alright.
I want to explain something to white people. There's a reason that the United States doesn't condemn hate groups or Nazism. There's a reason the United States sends money to Israel and Ukraine, but doesn't give a shit about any other country that's not white, unless they can benefit from their resources by exploiting them. There's a reason that insurrectionists can take the Capitol building and almost nothing happens to them. There's a reason that Proud Boys can march down the street and nobody gives a shit. There's a reason that the Proud Boys can occupy the federal building in Michigan with ARs and police don't even show up. Nobody cares. America is a safe haven for white people. The institution and systems were built for white people, to keep white people fat and happy and complicit. We basically turn our heads while our government genocides black and indigenous people since the founding of this country, and still today. Our government likes to do whatever it wants because white people were benefiting from this system in the United States of capitalism. Now, the institution still protects white people. Capitalism, not protecting most of us anymore. But I digress. This is what I need from white people right now. I need you to understand this is about white birth rates. This is about preserving white. There's a reason that white mass shooters are taken alive. There's a reason that white people get passes on heinous crimes. As I've already explained to you, this is about preservation of white people. So what I need is when the establishment tells white people to peacefully protest, you need to do the opposite. They will not kill white people. I'm not saying nobody will get hurt, or a few people might not get killed, but the vast majority of white people, they will not kill in the United States. They need us fat, happy, and complicit. They need us to not give a shit about people. That's why they're out here telling you to just donate money all the time and vote and to peacefully protest, because then they don't have to do anything. If we want change, white people need to be in the front lines, and we need to be doing things not so peaceful. Let's go, white people. That's how we get change in this country.
The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed.
This is I agree with you perfectly. This is the basic problem.
Then what do you
that
want to
white
talk to me
people
about?
think they're better
What is it
than
that I can
others.
do? I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama. And I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so you can have him. And here's what I'll say. I wish you would follow Jesus like we followed him. Because if you did that, then we'd be in charge tomorrow.
And this is why it is going to come back to us. It's coming back to us because we are the original people that had the covenant in the first place.
Do you know how many
I actually, no, shut up.
No.
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
No.
Because I actually work in the ghetto. I see the people.
Do you know why they're in that
physically go and I
position?
see these people.
Do you understand the systematic
They
and
get all
historical
kinds
reason
of
for why they're in
chances
that
and
position?
They don't care. All they want to do is be ghetto.
No.
Yes, there's some that don't, and there's good people.
No.
Most of them just want to suck off the system or do something bad like drugs or gangs. And that's all
they have been oppressed. They have not been given the same opportunities you have had.
They do, and there's plenty of black people.
No, they don't, Dad.
There's plenty of
And you not recognizing that as an issue is the reason why it's still continuing today.
I see them all over. There's all kinds of successful people that are of color. It doesn't matter what color, brown, white.
But it's
orange,
a lot harder
yellow.
for them to get to that position.
It doesn't matter. When they do, they're fine. But there's always filthy animals. And that
You're calling people of color black animals. You're calling them animals.
I'm talking.
Are you kidding me?
You didn't let me finish.
That's not okay. No matter what, that's not okay. No matter what, it's not okay. Racism is not okay. Why do you think that racism is okay?
Oh, that's mine.
Billy, I'm going to look at... No, I'm looking at statistics right now.
Your statistics can be warped. Statistics can be warped. You want me to show you videos?
So why are my...
Do you want me to show you videos of cops? I will do it.
Statistics wrong?
Because they can be warped. I'm not giving statistics right now. They can be warped. Personal experiences can't.
No, because this is actually putting it into play. When you...
Do I need to show you a bunch of videos of cops attacking protesters? Peaceful protesters.
Listen to this. This is the number...
You mean I'm informed and educated?
You're not, though.
Yes, I am.
You're one-sided informed.
Yes.
Mom, I was watching political stuff and you said to turn that off because you don't want to hear about it.
Because
that means that I am educated on it and you are not.
I'm sick of hearing it.
The fact that you can have that ignorance for the majority is bliss.
Okay.
Ignorance for the minority
So I'm
is
looking at statistics
destruction.
that are wrong. This is just pure wrong information out there.
Just give me the statistic.
In 2017, 457 white people were shot to death by the police in the United States.
Okay.
223 were black.
76% of the population is white. 13% is black.
I get that.
If they were being killed at the exact same rate by police officers, the rate of black people being killed would be 8.9. But it's not. It's 24%. The rate of white people being killed should be about where it is. So they're being killed at a higher rate. There's more white people, meaning that the amount of people killed by cops who are white would be higher.
The reaction of the person. I'm not saying
Because they're tired.
not saying it's
They're tired
right.
of being treated
I'm
that
not
way.
saying it's right.
Good.
But if they started teaching them that this is the world that we live in, you don't want to be killed. Why do you think your friend's father taught him that?
So that his black son doesn't end up dead like Tamir Rice.
Because he doesn't want him to grow up with the chip on his shoulder that
He doesn't want his black son to end up dead.
Exactly.
That's not okay. Why do you think that's okay?
Because
why is it something that you're okay with? Why is that a reality that you're okay with?
I'm okay with it.
But you are.
No, I'm not.
So stand against it. So stand against it. If you're not okay with it, so stand against
when
it.
I'll stand against it? When the black people in the ghetto stop carrying an illegal weapon. When the black people in the ghetto stop murdering each other.
I'll start caring about cops when they stop killing black people.
I'll start caring about black people when they stop killing cops.
Wow. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. See, they don't want to talk about how they put crates of guns in our neighborhoods. Oh no, they don't want to talk about how they put crack in our neighborhoods. Okay? They don't want to talk about that. 1 second. 1 second. 31 years ago, crack cocaine went mainstream within our community, but they labeled us black and devastated the fabric of indigenous people. This drug destroyed indigenous families overnight, and relationships between indigenous people were pulled to the breaking point, then broken. Crack cocaine is the reason behind most of the dilapidation seen in urban communities and the high prison incarceration rate currently. The question is, why isn't this being talked about? See, they ain't talking about who it is that put the crack cocaine in our neighborhoods. One second. So they brought the drugs in the ghetto. Then they declared a war on drugs. This, what they do. They create a problem and they bring about their solution. They drop crates of guns in our neighborhood, knowing damn well what happened. Because of how they impoverish us, forcing us to fight against one another, trying to survive. Did you know that housing projects were designed as housing experiments? Thus the name projects? They were used to see how poor people would respond living in cramped conditions, impoverished. As Bro Akil says in the important book From Niggas to Gods, there are obvious natural consequences to putting hopeless creatures into conditions so cramped and desperate that few have enough resources to survive. Studies show that if you put enough rats into small boxes with nothing else to do, they'll have babies, but then they'll run out of room. Eventually they'll begin killing each other and even eat their young. And that's what the projects, the ghetto, the hood, and the trap are all about. So you see, Europeans established this. Okay? So it's disingenuous to claim we're all the same, because your people did this to my people within this system that was forced upon us, because this was our land before it was invaded by your people. And until you humble yourself and accept this realization, you are setting yourself in opposition to righteousness, to truth, to justice, to morality. What's right? We had no part in this. We were considered the rats. Okay? They consider us the rats in the projects. Alright? We did not establish this. So how are we all the same? We did not establish race. So how are we the racist? We did not establish the economy. We did not put a value system on anything in our land. We had a whole different system of bartering. We appreciated one another. We appreciated each other's talents and skills. Okay? We didn't value money. We valued one another. Okay? That's who we are. But we have been subjected to your system of capitalism, where you don't value the people. You value money and materialistic things. That is the system that Europeans established on indigenous land. And this whole system has been used to crush us and give you a leg up. So we are not the same. Now, I don't know how much more of this we're gonna get. I think I'm just gonna stop it there, and when I come back, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the audio that I recorded on 5/19. Okay, because it's all connecting with this. All right. Again, the title of that audio is "Our Power is with the Spirit of Truth. The truth shall set you free." And we have the power of truth on our side. And we're being obedient. I'm being obedient to the leading of the Holy Spirit. I've accepted the reproof of the Spirit of truth. I don't come in hatred. I come in divine love. So, on that note, I shall be right back. Shalom.